We Gucci. Yeah, speaking of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, did you check out those other series that came out?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Next show is Loki.
The Timekeepers have built quite the circus. And I see the clowns are playing their parts to perfection.
Big metaphor guy. I love it. Makes you sound super smart.
I am smart.
I know.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, audience. So for those who don't know, Loki is another MCU show on Disney. It follows, well, Loki. Loki is Thor's brother. In Endgame, they go back in time, back in the days when he was still a dick and committing genocide. They do some fuckery, and Loki gets away in the past and sort of creates his own branch timeline in which he is the main character of his own show. And because he created his own branch timeline when he tried to escape, there is this entity called the TVA, the Time Variant Authority, in which they go through branch timelines and just erase them. As punishment, Loki has to work with them in order to catch this mysterious villain who's out there causing some shit.
Yes. That's a good intro.
Thank you. I'm trying. I'm still getting the hang of this.
You got it.
Thanks.
I just want to add, so this whole series takes place in 2012 in Endgame, when they go back in time to get that stone from Loki. Loki gets arrested, but there's a mix-up, a little snafu. The Incredible Hulk smashes his way out of a door, hitting Tony Stark, who then just flings open the briefcase that opens somehow. I don't know how it could just open like that.
So stairs!
Good job. Meet me in the alley. I'm gonna grab a quick slice.
No! Stairs!
But Loki takes the Power Stone, or no, it's the
Space Stone, the Tesseract.
The Space Stone, the Tesseract, the fourth dimensional cube, and he just F's off to Mongolia, apparently. We don't know what year it is, though. They don't say what year in Mongolia he gets there, but he arrives in a desert.
It was the same year because he had the Space Stone. He can only transport places, not through time.
Oh, shit, bro. You got me. Yep.
Which is sort of odd when you think about it. Like, this is Loki, whose character is several thousand years old in the canon, and he's been around. He knows his way around space and shit, and he decides to go to Mongolia.
Yeah, right? I wonder what he was thinking before he touched that cube. Do you just think where you want to go and then it takes you there? Or is it completely random? Because that's not useful at all. You just teleport anywhere.
I think he was just probably thinking, get out.
Yeah. Take probably the opposite end of the earth. But yeah, that makes sense. He's like, I'm just gonna F off into Asia.
Yep.
But yeah, the TVA comes in. They're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, Loki.
The little scamp, even though he killed quite a few people.
More than a few.
Yes, a gaggle of people. We like to have fun around here, audience.
Oh, God. As the audience is just sitting there in a chair, just like serious faces, just what the fuck?
Yes, this is where we're getting to more spoiler territory. The villain that the TVA is trying to find is another variant of Loki.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep. Loki. Who else knows a Loki than another Loki? So that's how he ended up working there. The main character, his main partner he was working with was played by Owen Wilson. Do you remember his name?
Oh, yeah. Morbius. I think it's just Mr. Morbius or Morbius. It's something weird like that. He has like the same first and last name.
Yeah.
No, but it is Morbius. I think it's I think that's his last name.
So one of the his little personality quirks is Owen Wilson will always drop these little things about how he loves jet skis in the 90s and
yeah,
these little things.
I was just gonna say, get that man a jet ski because they didn't give him one, and it pissed me off. They should have had him, like, they should have showed before he went to the TVA on a jet ski. That would have been amazing. Just like an opening scene like that.
Yes.
But basically, he's like his handler at the TVA. And everyone at the TVA that works there just assumes they were born in the TVA, which is almost like, how would you describe it? Like the Emerald City from The Wizard of Oz, but in time.
It exists out of time.
Yeah, they do a good job of explaining the logic behind the series, though, because at first you're like, wait, multiple timelines? What the fuck does that even mean? But apparently there's just one giant ass timeline and nothing changes. Everything is predetermined, basically, in the universe. That's what they're assuming.
Yes.
Which makes me wonder, why can't you just step outside into the void, jump to another part in time at any point in time?
What?
Why would it be a line? Wouldn't it be an infinity symbol if it was time?
Well, we're not a theoretical quantum physics podcast.
Hell no.
But essentially, right when Loki gets in, he's fed this propaganda that time must remain in this predetermined path, and any branches need to be erased. Yes. And he is there to help Owen Wilson basically prune those things and solve this mystery. One thing I could describe the city as, or the TVA, and this really goes to the show itself, is the aesthetics. They go with like a 1970s analog aesthetic. So think of it like, they're still using tube TVs from the 70s. They're still using physical tape recorders, even though they're this all-knowing organization. And in terms of like color, there's just a lot of like browns and oranges, and I think they really did a good job there, because when you step in the TVA, you feel like you're waiting in the 1970s version of a DMV. And they try to capture all of that with like the bureaucracy that goes on in the TVA, almost to a funny level, but also at the same time, sort of a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's a good point, because you almost subconsciously think it's the 70s, but yeah, based on what people are wearing and just like the lack of technology, it's almost frozen in time. And it makes you wonder if that was like a hidden message they wanted to say about when the comic came out. Maybe it was the 70s and that's like the aesthetic.
I don't think so. I think they were trying to create this otherworldly feeling, and the way they decided to do that was with that 70s aesthetic, because I think at this point, like, none of our asses were born in the 70s or lived through the 70s. Nah. Not sure about you, audience, but definitely not Sinda nor I.
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah. And but
it sounds like a fun time.
Oh yeah. Aside from like the gas shortage and like the recession and all that other stuff, but in Vietnam.
Well, okay, take that back.
But hey, they had disco.
Yeah. Oh shit, man. Okay, I'm back on. Let's go to the 70s.
Yeah. So what they did with this aesthetic is that they did retrofuturism. Is basically what people in the past would think the future would look like. So they take like these things from the 70s, and they're like computer chips. They don't exist, but they will still have like these very advanced, almost alien technology that is beyond our comprehension, but it's built like it would be in the 70s.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Even their like armor that they wear is kind of bulky and old-fashioned looking, almost like a knight. They look like medieval knights almost.
They look like more like riot guards or something. Where do you get a medieval knight?
Yeah. I don't know, man. Oh, that medieval episode. Subconsciously.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
Think about that. Where it was a Renaissance fair in the 80s, I think. Yeah, That was when she showed one of the TVA agents, or she didn't capture her, but she almost like.
Who's she?
Oh, she is Lady Loki. And spoiler alert.
Yes. So, as Sinda just said, essentially, like that's, I would say, like by the third episode, it's revealed that this other Loki is a woman, which, you know, makes sense. Different possibilities.
Yeah, exactly. 50% chance you could have become a woman or a man, depending. But I know gender is just a social construct, though. So,
Yeah.
I don't want to offend anyone.
Let's just tippy toe over that real quick.
Yeah.
Yes. We're here at Swifty Dialogues. We're all very tolerant.
Yes, extremely.
But don't feel like getting a term wrong and then getting a hate mob.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Yeah. So we found out that it's a Lady Loki, and then they just start calling her Sylvie, and then it's a Loki and a Sylvie show for a little bit. And what were you saying about the medieval stuff, man?
Oh, I was just trying to recap. Like in that episode, Lady Loki kind of makes a TVA agent see that she lived a life before the TVA, and there's some like sketchy things going on in the TVA, which is almost like a call to say, like, in the government or governments across the world, there might be some shady things going on behind the scenes, and yeah, you never know. But you kind of just believe it because everyone else does, and you don't question it. So it was kind of that like blind loyalty they wanted to bring up.
Yep. It turned out that all these TVA agents, they weren't just manifested into the TVA.
Yeah.
They turned out they were all plucked, like you said, from different times. They were all variants, and they were brainwashed. Then as Sylvie and Loki, as their relationship matures, they start developing romantic feelings for each other, which is, what was your thought about that, man? Imagine you meeting the female version of yourself and then you fall in love with your female version. It's a little weird.
Yeah. I think they were taking the fact that his character is so vain to the 9th degree. They were just like, yo, if there was a female version of Loki, he would definitely like marry her.
Or male, because they did drop that Loki does swing whichever way he wants.
Yeah. I think she, though, was trying to use him the whole time, and everyone else around her. She didn't really care about being with Loki necessarily. She just had that one-track mind of, I'm gonna bring down the TVA.
Yeah.
They took my life from me.
People at the show, they put Sylvie and Loki together. Honestly, it should have been Owen Wilson and Loki, Morbius.
They had a better romance.
Imagine them just riding off on a jet ski in the 1990s sunset, drinking their Arizona iced teas.
Oh, dude, that's the life.
But alas, that is a life only we could wish for, but it didn't come into reality.
Nah, maybe not this reality, maybe a different reality in another timeline.
Yes, there's a multiverse now.
Why do they not allow for variations? That's my question. Why do they want one timeline? Is it purely so it's easier to keep track of? Is that it?
Well, it's funny you should ask. And we're going to skip over a few things here, audience. As the series goes along and we approach the series finale, it's revealed that the creators of the TVA, the 3 creators or whoever they were, turns out to be false, and there's actually only one creator behind everything. And this is particularly important, not only for the show, but for the rest of the MCU, because this is our new big bad guy for what it seems, at least for the next few phases. And that is Kang the Conqueror. Kang, when they meet Kang, essentially he does say that, hey, there was a version of me who found out that there's different universes, different possibilities, and blah, blah, blah. But then other versions of me figured that out too. At first, we bettered each other's realities, but that relationship sort of soured, and then they started going to war with each other between realities. That war was so deadly that this version of Kang won and wanted a single version of the timeline to prevent that from happening again.
Ah, perfect. I like it. I set you up. You just hit it out of the park.
Well, actually,
You were like, it's like when you get a question on a test and you actually know the answer. You're just like, oh, hell yeah. It's a written answer. You're like, I got this.
hey, yo, Teach, I fucking know this one. Pick me. Yeah, that was little Ariel at 7 years old.
Can't go to school.
Ironically, that was me during gym class. Hey, yo, Teach, I know the answer. There is no answer. You just got to go out there and play.
There's no test. You either run a mile or you don't run a mile.
I see you. A mile is 7,307 feet. Did I get that right?
You know what? Yeah, close enough.
Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? You got close.
So,
Yeah, but Kang though, that guy, I see how it went down though. So he had multiple versions of himself, and he goes, "No, I just want my own version of my the one I came from, essentially."
yeah.
That's why he's the Conqueror.
Yeah, I think he has several nicknames, and one of them was the Conqueror. I think the one in Loki was not the Conqueror, since I think he was just trying to keep order.
Oh, the one who remains.
Oh yeah, some bullshit like that.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. The old guy at the end of time. Something like that.
yeah, and he does explain that some of them are benevolent and some of them are not. And I think one of them is going to be the main villain. At least they did say Kang is going to make an appearance in Ant-Man and the Wasp 3, Quantumania.
So it really did lead into that pretty nicely. And they have to go back to that, because ultimately they're trying to make you watch more shows.
Yep.
Because if they didn't connect them, then what's the fun of watching the spoiler?
I wouldn't go as far as to say they're commercials for all these shows are just commercials for the next movie or next show, but they sort of are. They're commercials with a lot of heart, a lot of passion.
6 hour long commercials if you want.
And my ass will sit down and watch it. So let's wrap up our thoughts, man. Pros, cons, what do you think about Loki?
Oh, dude, I love Loki. It almost had a Rick and Morty type vibe of jumping in throughout timelines, different places, different worlds. I would say very sci-fi, but also very cool. I think they could have cut a couple episodes out in the middle and added more like variations of Loki or whatnot, but I think overall, great show. One of the best in the Marvel Phase 4.
I agree. In terms of my order, I would say there's, between WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Loki. Loki is definitely my favorite one. And pros, I would say the overall aesthetic, like I said, and when I nerded out a little earlier, throwing out my little design terms, I do like that 70s aesthetic of the TVA. Another thing, gotta give a shout out to our boy Owen Wilson. He was great in this.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think the last thing I got to say about Loki, it's a con, is really I feel like there's like an episode or two where it went a little too slow.
Yeah, the train episode.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that train episode, and it really irked me that you got these people traveling through time and space, visiting other planets at different points in reality and all this mystical shit, and the aliens just look like people in different clothing.
Yeah, dude. It was like, what the F? You didn't even try to make them look like aliens. And they speak English, bro. They fucking speak English. So it's very strange. But Yeah, Lamentus. I Lamentus that episode.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did it.
He said it.
I Lamentus that episode. But I think that was a good episode in the end because it led up to the next episode, but they could have just did something else in between. I mean, it was almost like, oh, let's develop this romance, and then at the very last second, let's just teleport out of there. Nothing even happens.
Pointless.
Yeah, you see the ship that's gonna get away blows up. They're like, we're fucked. So they're just chilling at the lake. At the last goddamn second, they're like, Owen Wilson's like, wow.
Wow.
Wow. And then just grabs him and fucking goes back in time. What was that about?
I wonder, like, because there were a few times where I did try to like keep my ear out for an Owen Wilson wow.
Nah, never. It's not in his contract.
Oh, he actually cost extra for him to say wow in your movie.
It's an extra $100 every wow.
Yeah. Well, those are our thoughts on Loki, audience. We recommend it. We love it. Go check it out. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to our podcast. Swifty Dialogues was brought to you by your hosts, Rob, Sinda, and myself, Ariel. You can support us by subscribing to our podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, or any other major podcast services. Subscribe to a YouTube channel for exclusive content such as animated shorts. Find us on Twitter and Instagram with the handle @SwiftyDialogues. If you want to learn more about us, visit our website at SwiftyDialogues.com. You can also contact us by filling out the form on our website or emailing us at info@SwiftyDialogues.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you next episode.